We therefore urge the public to abide by the law at all times and always seek to amicably resolve disagreements with the police by remaining decent, respectful, and courteous in their engagement. It is now my humble duty to invite the chief guest and address this gathering. Thank you.
The Honorable Chief Administrative Secretary or the Assistant Ministers, as what we are used to, the Minister of Interior and Coordination of National Government, Honorable Hussein Dado, CS, Minister of Tourism, Mr. Boynet, the Inspector General of the National Police Service, Mr. Hilary Mutiambai, the Deputies Inspectors General who are here, the Chair of IPOA, the RC Nairobi, my good friend Dr. Kim Getich, our GSU Commandant, Mr. Kanja, my colleagues from Harambee House, representative of the Chairman of the Commission, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I believe, as we agreed, this is going to be a brief and straightforward function. But allow me to just break protocol and invite our Assistant Minister to say hi, say one word. It's good for him to also have a perspective on these things of his own. And it's good that people get to know him, because I also have an Assistant Minister, Ambassador Hussein Dado, who's a former County Commissioner, therefore who's part of us in terms of career training and is part of the security sector. Even before he became the governor. It's a man who brings together so many things, and that's why I am a little bit less stressed these days. Please.
Our Cabinet Secretary, Interior, Dr. Fred Matiangi, my colleague, former IG Boynet, IG Mr. Hilary Mutiambai, Mr. Mbogwa, NPS, Mr. Gabo, APS, all protocols observed, and the RC Nairobi. So mine will be very brief. First of all, I take this opportunity to congratulate my colleague Mr. Boynet for this bold step, because most of the time police do all the bulk work, all the dirty work. You see a corpse, you call police. You see something unknown, you call police. But when one makes a mistake, the whole world condemns police. So documenting what they have gone through is very important for all of us. We know our police force now is really reformed, it's really doing a good job, and we should all stand and defend them where possible. Samaki moja ikiharibika naweza haribu yote. A cup full of good fresh samaki, ukiwa na small kipande ambayo ina harufu mbaya utasema hii samaki imeoza. So we congratulate you, Bwana Boynet, congratulate Bwana IG Mutiambai for carrying on the baton with your two deputy IGs and our able and very active CS, Dr. Fred Matiangi. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Dado. Mr. Boynet, you know, we may never recover from calling you IG. Once IG, you're always IG. But let me first of all start by saying His Excellency the President sends his congratulatory message to you upon this achievement. You know that you sent a copy of your book earlier to him, and you mentioned this to him. And so he asked me to tell you congratulations and to say publicly here about how grateful he is for the service that you rendered to our country as our second Inspector General. Secondly, I am grateful, and Mr. Boynet, I know you are a believer, and I thank the Lord for you and for many of our colleagues who have worked together. I came to this ministry just about 3 years ago, And I arrived just before an election. And so I worked with you through the difficult times of your tenure as the Inspector General. I'm very grateful, and as a citizen of this country, first of all, I start by saying thank you for the service you rendered to our nation as our Inspector General, and thank you again for honoring us with a record, an eternal record we will keep of not just the work you did, but also your perspective of how the police service should be run. And during that time, we had quite a bit of time, IG Boynet, and a lot of good stuff has happened in the National Police Service. Sometimes I was thinking last evening, as I was preparing my mind for this function, and I was thinking, it's amazing how much so many things happen within a short period of time. We worked so much with you, IG Boynet, on the Unified Command when we arrived. In fact, the late General Kaiseri had just started working with you on the Unified Police Command, and now it is going to work. Then when I arrived, it was, the matter on the table, and how, we are going to ensure that our police command is coordinated better. We worked very successfully on that. The police housing challenge that we had, I remember the numerous meetings we had with SRC trying to put money together so that we ensure our police officers are paid. Then, of course, the famous one where you and I went through proper hell on police uniforms, and the pressures we were facing, you and Dr. Kibicho and myself. Then, the police equipment modernization, so that we can have better equipment and we're able to deal with, the challenges we face in terrorism. It's interesting, as Mheshimiwa Dado says, sometimes even members of the public don't look at big things. In a scale of time, when you look at the last 4 or 5 years, the work that Kanja and Gabo and all these special teams have been able to do in terms of dealing with the menace that is abidingly present with us in form of terrorism, and how we have changed over the period of time, together with the reorganization that the President directed and the pain it has taken to get to that point. Sometimes people think it has always been like this, and they don't remember to say, thank the Lord for the opportunity we've had to have such men and women who are so dedicated and committed to bring about the changes that are necessary as we were. Then, of course, the reforms to the Firearm Licensing and Control Board, which again, was a big menace. The guns we collected around from wrong hands, the 12 or 13 people we put out of business who had been distributing guns, who had been, fraudulently licensed to sell guns in the country. And how, when you look at the Firearm Licensing and Control Board has changed to this day, it's shocking. I mean, the other day, the PS and I were wondering, nobody knew ever before we started this work that we could get A from the Firearm Licensing and Control Board. And now we are getting over 40 or so million shillings every month from fees, because we have the right people there. We have a reformed organization that is clean and that is doing the work that needed to be done and so on. And we worked on through this. And I remain grateful, to the Director of Intelligence, General Kameru, and General Mwatete, and the work that went into ensuring that this is sorted out. Then, of course, the new capabilities, which I don't want to discuss here because the police is here, the press is here, and all these acquisitions we've done over the years, recent 2 to 3 years, to strengthen the capacities of the police. The work that my good brothers, Gabo, Kanja, and our DG have been doing to strengthen the capacities of the police as we move along. Then the Police Human Resource Information Management System that we worked on. Before 2 years ago, we couldn't have a proper electronic record of what our police officers, where they are, and we can trace everything else. Then we started the tough job of ensuring that mobility in the police service is done scientifically and people are promoted in an objective manner, so that we do not kill the morale of our officers as we go along. And then, of course, IG Boynet, I remember that we spent the night together on this 2C2 and we were in the same clothes for more than 24 hours, trying to figure out what was going to happen. And through all this, as we have discussed, I had the front row seat to your sense of judgment, commitment to the country, your calmness, and your incredible and very admirable sense of patriotism, for which I really, really thank you. The work we did disarming, people who had been earlier described as KPRs, Bowa knows this, and NPRs and so on, could not have succeeded without resolve from you and Mr. Mbogwa and the team in the police department and how we've gone on forward. So a lot has been done, for which we should be grateful to God, for which I sincerely thank you. And when we come to this, we thank the Lord that He saw you through your term, you peacefully handed over, and we are meeting again 1 year later to look at what's happening, and our community in the policing sector is growing and becoming stronger and stronger in the hands of my good friend, Mr. Hilary Mutyambai, our Inspector General of Police. So as we go forward, there's a lot to be done to strengthen the police service. As you all see, probably more in terms of reform and more in terms of what we need to do to strengthen ourselves to deal with the new challenges as we go forward. And we have some even present challenges. I need to be honest as a public servant and tell you this, because IG, we have discussed this before, even as late as this morning. I want to ask our police officers across the country, let us do our work. It can be painful and sometimes frustrating, but let us live within the service standing orders. It's painful to see a member of the public, regardless of their status, being beaten by a police officer in uniform. It is very painful. It's something we should not have in our country. Because these things, the things that happen in societies that are less developed than ours. I mean, we may not have developed materially, but I think culturally as a people, we are better than this as a country, and then we are better as human beings. And then there are certain things we can do differently. And then we've discussed these issues. IG, my sister, the chair of IPOA. I mean, I will not shirk or hide from responsibility. Some of these things, we have to be very sincere about them. It is not right and it is not fair that we subject members of the public or people we are supposed to lead to that kind of treatment. I know, it can be frustrating and sometimes it can be very painful. But we shouldn't get there. And I'm grateful to the Inspector General because of the decisions you have taken. In the recent times, when we have had certain cases where we feel sometimes things ought not to have happened the way they did, I am satisfied personally with the decisions you have taken. And I support you when you make those decisions. Because, yes, we have work to do, but also at the same time, we have to be serious, honestly. We are not a society where we should beat each other, first of all, whether we are police and wananchi. I mean, we are better than this. We are civilized people. We must find ways, lawful ways of dealing with our challenges. And the law provides us sufficient opportunities to resolve our disputes without resorting to that level, of violence. So, without going too much into this, IG, you know what we have discussed on these issues. And our colleagues from IPOA, let's do the right thing for the country and support the image, of the police and the image of government in the country. The people of Kenya need to continue to enjoy, not resent, the service that we give them. And one or two people, as Mheshimiwa Dado said, can actually mess up the wonderful work that's done by the bulk of our serious, hard-working, and committed police officers. And while I say that also, I am very concerned, and then we have discussed this matter this morning with the Inspector General, and now IG, you jointly with our Secretary for Internal Security and the PS Interior, we will go to NSAC and actually discuss with NSAC with a view to providing, a paper to the National Security Council to be guided on policing the County Assembly of Nairobi. Because I don't know about many people, but personally I have to be very honest and say this. We are just basically sick and tired of living in this kind of manner. Mr. Ndolo, our regional police commander, will tell you that our security deployment around the CBD in Nairobi, 25 to 30% of it is around the County Assembly of Nairobi. And most of that is because of what happens around there is just pure criminality. And we cannot go on this way. There are decisions that need to be made. And I am now ready myself to seek the guidance of the National Security Council on this matter, on policing the County Assembly of Nairobi and what is going to happen. It's no longer an assembly, it's actually a war zone. Every time there is constant fighting going on, people are beating each other and so on. And I'm asking, surely, if I had powers to do it, I will not be talking about this. I will have acted long time ago. Those who have powers to act, it is time, even on the basis of chapter 6, to proceed on this institution. Why can't somebody even actually move to court or even work on a recall or look for a way of, I don't know what would be done, whether it's dissolution or whatever needs to be done. But for us, from the internal security sector, my colleague, our regional police commander, can bear me out, and our regional commissioner for Nairobi. We cannot go on. We are not going to continue piling pressure on the regional security team in Nairobi on the issues related to the Nairobi County Assembly. So we will go to NSAC, as we are supposed to do, because I want us to do everything lawfully. Let's follow the law. I mean, whatever it is, let's follow the law. I mean, it may be painful, but I am prepared to walk the path of the law. Let's go through our peers to NSAC, and then from NSAC we get a proposition to the National Security Council. Then we will be guided on what we need to do. Because 25 to 30% of our deployment in security in the CBD is around the County Assembly of Nairobi. And everybody can see. I don't know why we are so pretentious and hypocritical. Tunadanganyana hapa, we are just lying around to each other here. That is not an institution that deliberates on anything. They are constantly fighting. It's a war zone. So when things happen, now we are dealing with a crisis here, which could actually be a reputational crisis for us as security sector people. I don't condone, and I've said this clearly, I do not condone any violent handling of members of the public or leaders. But a time has come for us to be honest, to be very sincere, and speak to each other as responsible people. I mean, are we going to get a contingent of GSU and ask Mr. Kanja to station a contingent of GSU outside the county assembly? Because they're constantly fighting, it's war and so on and so forth. And I've asked the Inspector General of Police today, with the regional security team in Nairobi, to disarm everyone around that county assembly. Anyone who holds firearms, those that there could be people. We already collected 14 guns. Let's tell the public the truth. The 14 guns we collected from around that environment, the level of criminality that has gone on, I suspect there could probably be more firearms. So Mr. Njeka and the regional security team investigate and find out whether there are any other people who could be armed other than the 14 that we withdrew. And let's tell the Firearm Licensing and Control Board to cancel all the licenses. We withdraw those firearms from them because they might do something unusual. Then let's go to the National Security Advisory Committee, follow the path of the law, and request to be guided on what we are going to do with policing the County Assembly of Nairobi. Because enough is now finally enough. We cannot go on this way. And it's upon those who have responsibility. I keep asking this every time, even our colleagues in non-state actors, civil society organizations. I mean, surely, do you want to tell me no one is seeing what is going on in that place? So that the law can be brought to bear. Either people exercise recall clauses or people basically invoke chapter 6 and move to court to have these people declared unfit to hold public office, or whatever the case may be. And this applies to that assembly and many other assemblies across the country. There are several other county assemblies who engage in those kinds of activities. Let's not bury our heads in the sand, and let us not be pretentious. This is the aspect of our life in the country that frustrates us in the security sector. We know what the right thing is, we know what is happening, but we choose to pretend. You know, people around Nairobi are now pretending as if the County Assembly of Nairobi is such a holy institution, a venerable place, where great things happen and where deliberations happen, that it's a gathering of angels who meet every time to praise the Lord and discuss our lives. We cannot. We've had enough of that kind of thing. And therefore, we will discuss ourselves, we will be guided. I'm not going to act on a whim, and I'm not going to make a whimsical decision. I will go through the path of the law, through the NSAC and the National Security Council, to be advised on how we are actually going to police the County Assembly of Nairobi. So that because it has become an area of special interest, as it were, and an area of special focus in terms of security. But for start, we have agreed with the IG and the regional security team in Nairobi. I am telling you publicly, investigate and find out if there are any more guns around there beyond the ones we withdrew. Take them, talk to Mukindi at the Firearm Licensing and Control Board. Let us now begin to sanitize the place, do what we need to do ourselves as we wait for guidance from the two national security organs in the country. So that said, I think the future looks good. IG, you know, we are now moving to the next phase of police reforms as directed by the President. It is going to be technology driven. The next few days, my colleague, the Minister for ICT, and myself will now launch the new Nairobi-wide digitization of the OB, which is going to transform the way in which we report police cases, how we interface with our internal affairs unit and our colleagues at IPOA. You know, we are putting up new infrastructure across the country, and on this particular one, I will be eternally grateful to our members of parliament. Many of our MPs have actually used the CDF resources to help us put up police stations. I thank the MPs for what they have done. Across the country, as you travel around, many of our MPs have deployed their CDF resources effectively, and you can see it's changing the lives and the operational spaces that we are using as police officers. We will soon be breaking ground at our brand new Police Leadership Academy in Karen, and that will take us now to a new level in terms of the leadership of the police service. IG, you know, and I will make a formal and proper announcement later about our new training of cadet police officers, so that we inject new capacities, a new energy in the manner in which we lead the police force. We would like police officers who graduate as officers straight to the rank of inspector, and then they begin leading the rest of the team differently. And then we'll work on strengthening the multi-agents framework that was directed by His Excellency the President. It has worked very well for us, and honestly speaking, the achievements we have registered in the internal security of our country have been mainly as a result of the multi-agents working framework that we have. And I pledge to you, my colleagues, and all of us in the security sector, that that's how we are going to work. You know, better collaboration, building synergies with others, so that we can move forward and provide security to our people. And then, of course, when we recruit new police officers, we are going to recruit new police officers in a new recruitment regime. We will soon announce, once the consultations are complete, the new criteria for recruiting police officers. It may actually also include a change in the basic qualifications for entry into the police service, because we want to increase the professionalization of the police service and strengthen the capacities of those that we bring in. Because when you look at the resources that are being spent on the police service, the new forensic lab capacities that we are building, the new synergy we want to put together between the government chemist, the Crime Research Center, and the DCI, it requires that we also up the capacities that we are putting into the police service, so that then we can step up to the demands of policing a dynamic environment where security challenges are becoming dynamic themselves as we go along. So these are all good things we are focusing on. We are grateful that His Excellency the President is focused on this, and he's committed to ensuring that in delivering his foremost responsibility as head of state, namely making sure that the country is secure and safe, we have the opportunity and the support from his office to ensure that these things are done and the resources for it are provided for as we go along. So let's go forth and do the right thing as we go. And Bwana Boynet, I thank you very sincerely for recording this. I'm grateful that we have had this opportunity to do this, and we continue to soldier on. I think once a police officer, you will remain one until you leave this world, and you remain a member of our serious security sector family, and we will continue to consult and work together as we have done in the things that we are doing. I dare repeat this because I've said it several times before. You know, we have been under a lot of pressure from the public on a number of things, including evictions. I have told the RC Nairobi and the regional police commander and IG, we have agreed this cable has gone across the country. We are now very careful about evictions, and our police officers are going to be involved in executing court orders. We will respect and obey all court orders. Let me start first of all by saying that we will respect and obey all court orders. We have no choice. That is the law in the country, and we have to lead and live by the law. That's the law we have. But I want to ask us that henceforth as we go forward, IG, we agreed that all court orders have to be verified and confirmed by the Honorable Attorney General before we can implement them. Because people come to us with all manner of court orders. We are very unfortunate as security sector people. We don't implement orders, we are excoriated. We implement the orders, we are criticized. So in that tight space where we are now operating, we are going to work very closely with the Office of the Attorney General. When orders come before us, we have to go to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has got to go through that painful and rigmarole of confirming the court orders before we can implement them. And I'm not encouraging police officers to defy court orders. I'm just saying that we have been under too much pressure to act the way we used to act in the past. I'm saying this because there's so many people come to me and tell me, oh, you know, this plot is mine, the court has ordered that this person be evicted. That's fine, but we have to wait until the Attorney General confirms that order before we can act. Because if, in the past we have done that, and what ends up is a situation where we are sued left, right, and center, and then we are criticized. You know, we are the ones who are being seen as inhuman, we are evicting people, and so on and so forth. So I'm sorry about this, but the country needs to come to terms with this. We have brought this upon ourselves. If you go to Mavoko right now, the kind of madness going on in Mavoko is unbelievable, you know, where people have got 2 or 3 titles to one piece of land. People have invaded others' land, including land owned by so many groups. Even the judiciary itself, some of their land they are bought through their circle has been invaded by squatters in Mavoko. But you see, when we get orders, if we go there and evict those people, we are seen as inhuman. So when orders are given, we will have to go through, and where cases of land are involved, we may actually even require now written confirmation from the Ministry of Lands also in addition to the court orders, because we act and then later on people turn on us. We are the ones who are left carrying the wrong end of the stick. And anyway, since the President's directive is enforced about non-evictions until we are done with this COVID, let people understand, Mr. Ndolo and Jeka. And people stop coming to my office, to Kibicho, to Chimwaga, to ask us about evictions. We are not evicting people within this COVID framework, number one. Number two, even in other parts of the country, when they get these orders, we now have to follow the law. We write to the Attorney General. The Attorney General has to confirm the court orders and come back to us. And he has to come back to the Inspector General. and tell the Inspector General, this is a legit court order. You had the Chief Justice yesterday. You had the Chief Justice yesterday himself talking about those things. So let's follow the order. We are not going to be dragged around so that people use us to do, certain things. We will remain firm and we want to follow the law. So no one should say that we are either trying to resist court orders. We will follow all of them, but we will follow the steps that are provided for in the law. When they are served on us, we go to the Attorney General. The Attorney General goes to confirm them. Once he has confirmed them, he writes back to the IG. Then IG will now guide us on how we are going to go. That way, then we will stem these cases where we are perpetually blamed, for all manner of things. And where people have conflicts relating to land, I've given you the classic example of Mavoko. Let them sort their problems out in court. Because you see, even when people come to us and say, this illegality has happened, we do our best. But what follows is the eternal condemnation. Oh, the police they are making mistakes and so on and so forth. So we have chosen to live that way as Kenyans. So for us now, we will just patiently, humbly, and follow the law and go the direction the law will take us on these issues. So that we get out. We also want to maintain a strong relationship with the members of the public. We serve these people. Utumishi kwa wote means serving everyone, big and small, well-placed and lowly placed, rich and poor, in government and out of government, senior or junior, young and old. Everybody has to be served in the manner in which the law dictates they are going to be served. And then we have agreed that's the way we are going to go. We'll do our best. I congratulate you, Mr. Boynet. Wish you all the best. And now that you are CAS, you can write another book, and we will continue that way. Thank you so much. God bless you.
It's my humble request that our CS comes back to launch the book.
So,
Come behind you.
my praise here. So let's go down and get the book.
So much, it's unfortunate we are not using our time to get it, but then we can take out to the book and something to you. Get a bear one for CS.